Hi everybody, I'm Ron Cantor, and you're watching Out of Zion on God TV. And today we're coming to you from one of the oldest port cities in the world. In fact, some people say that Jaffa is the oldest port city in the world. You know, in the New Covenant, we do hear a lot about Jerusalem. Yeshua dies there, he rises from the dead there. Shavuot, Pentecost, the Spirit of God is poured out. Of course, we know the gospel had an effect in the Galilee. That was Yeshua's headquarters. But what about Tel Aviv? You say, wait a minute, Ron, Tel Aviv's not in the Bible. Well, actually, Tel Aviv is an outgrowth of Jaffa. And Tel Aviv is now home to the largest concentration of Jewish people in the world. 3.5 million Jews live in the greater Tel Aviv area. And one of the things we know from the New Covenant is that there was a great move of God in this area. Not only Tel Aviv Yafo or Jaffa, but the whole Gush Dan, the Dan block. That's an area that goes all the way from Ben Gurion Airport all the way to the Sharon Valley in the north. You see, two great miracles happened in this region. The first one is in Acts chapter 9. In fact, they're both there. Starting in verse 32, as Peter traveled about the country, he went to visit the saints in Lydda, which we call Lod today in Israel. There he found a man named Ananias, a paralytic, who had been bedridden for 8 years. Ananias, Peter said to him, Yeshua the Messiah heals you. Get up and take care of your mat. Immediately Ananias got up. Now, listen to this part. All those who lived in Lod and Sharon saw him and turned to the Lord. That is a group of Jewish people all the way, like I said, from the Ben Gurion Airport today, all the way up to Netanya in the north. That's a huge area, and it says they all turned to the Lord. And of course, we know the story of Tabitha that we can see in verse 36. In Joppa, there was a disciple named Tabitha, who was always doing good and helping the poor. About that time, she became sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. Lydda was near Joppa, and so when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent 2 men to him and urged him to come. Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying and showing him the robes and the other articles of clothing that she had made while she was still with him. Peter sent them all out of the room. Then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, Tabitha, get up. She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called the believers and the widows and presented her to them alive. This became known all over Joppa, and many believed in the Lord. Did you hear that? Many believed in the Lord. And you know what? Those many were all Jews, and they all believed in the Lord. You know what's interesting about this passage is that probably more than one person died that day in this area, but only Tabitha was raised from the dead. You know what I see there? I see a woman who made herself so valuable to God on earth that when she got to heaven, the Lord said, I'm going to send you back. I need you on planet Earth. I can only imagine that she got to heaven and she was so excited. She is just saying, oh my gosh, this is amazing. There's air conditioner up here, you know. And then, you know, maybe one of the angels, maybe the Lord himself said, you know what, Tabitha, you're doing such an amazing work on earth, and they're praying for you down there. We're going to have to send you back. And before she could protest, she awoke. And when she awoke, there was a great revival that took place in this city, and many Jewish people came to faith. Will you agree with me for another great revival in this city, Tel Aviv, Jaffa? You can go to God.tv so you don't miss even one episode, and you can find me at roncantor.com. Shalom from the port city of Yafo.
Please follow Ron on Twitter and Facebook at Ron S. Cantor to find out more about Ron and his ministry. For more information on God TV and the Out of Zion programs, or to view these programs again, go to god.tv/Zion.